You ever read a textbook and just think, okay, I get the theory, but how do I actually do this? Well, that's the exact gap we're going to close today when it comes to software testing. We are going from the classroom to the real world, from theory to tester. All right, let's jump in.
I mean, this quote really hits home, doesn't it? Reading about testing, sure, it helps you understand the what and the why, but it's getting your hands dirty on a real project. That's what actually makes you a tester. It's all about turning that knowledge into real skill, and that's exactly what we're focusing on right now.
All right, so where do we even begin? Well, we're diving straight into the proving grounds. We're going to simulate tests on the exact kind of real-world apps you'll actually face out there in the industry. So yeah, this isn't just theory. Think of it like a practical workout for your testing muscles.
Okay, first up, the absolute bread and butter of the internet, right? An e-commerce site. Just think about the last time you bought something online. We are going to trace that exact journey all the way from just browsing around to getting that sweet order confirmed notification. Now, for a business, even a tiny bug in this flow means lost money. But for us, that's our target.
See, a regular user looks at this and sees 5 simple steps. A tester, we see dozens of places where things can go wrong. Every single arrow in this flow is a question we have to ask ourselves. Like, can someone add 100 items to their cart? What if they hit the back button right in the middle of checkout? Is the payment really processed securely? Our job is to find all those little cracks before a real customer falls into them.
So, while the customer's just happily shopping away, here's what we, the testers, are doing behind the scenes. We're checking everything. Is the search bar smart enough to handle a typo? Does that 20% off discount code actually apply correctly? Or does it, break the whole cart? And oh, the big one, does the confirmation email actually get sent? Every single one of these is a potential disaster that a good tester stops in its tracks.
Okay, now, let's raise the stakes a little bit, shall we? We're moving on from shopping carts to bank accounts. And with finance apps, a bug isn't just an inconvenience, it can be a total financial catastrophe. Here, security and trust are literally everything.
You see, this kind of user flow is way less about convenience and way more about control. Every single step is a potential vulnerability. We have to think like a hacker almost. Is the login weak enough for a brute force attack? Is there any scenario where you could see someone else's balance? When you transfer money, can it be intercepted? And, this one's huge, how does the app handle errors? A confusing error message can be just as bad as a security flaw.
So while an e-commerce tester might be focused on usability, a finance tester has a totally different mindset. We are stress testing security protocols. We are verifying that every transaction is accurate down to the last penny, and we're making sure every single feature complies with a mountain of complex regulations. You're not just a tester in this case. You're basically the guardian of the user's financial life.
All right, and finally, let's talk about that little supercomputer we all carry around in our pockets. Look, testing a mobile app is not just about shrinking a website down to fit a smaller screen. No way. It is a completely different world with its own set of rules, its own challenges, and a ton of different variables to worry about.
See, it's not enough for the app to just work. Does it install on a 3-year-old Android just as smoothly as it does on the latest iPhone? What happens to the layout on one of those new foldable phones? And hey, here's a pro tip for you. Always check the battery and data usage. A fantastic app that drains someone's battery, it's going to get uninstalled in a heartbeat. These are the details that really separate the good mobile apps from the great ones.
Okay, so we've seen what to test, right? Everything from e-commerce flows to how much battery a mobile app uses. But how do we do all of this efficiently without completely losing our minds? Well, the answer lies in this really powerful modern alliance, combining human creativity with the raw speed of automation.
Just think of it like a team. You've got the manual tester who's like the creative explorer. They're the one asking, what if I try this? And checking for stuff that just feels wrong, Then you have the automation script. That's your tireless workhorse. It handles all the boring, repetitive stuff, like checking that all the main features still work after a new code change. That's what we call regression or smoke tests. So one gives you insight, the other gives you speed, and you absolutely need both to win.
All right, now it's time to put all of this together. We've gone over the scenarios, we've talked about the methods, so the final challenge is your capstone project. This is where you get to prove that you can think and act like a professional software tester.
So, let's say you found the bugs. Awesome. Now what? See, a professional tester doesn't just find problems, they help deliver solutions. And the absolute key is how you communicate what you found. So what exactly are you going to deliver to show everyone you're a pro?
These 4 documents right here, this is your professional toolkit. First, the test plan. That's your roadmap. It shows what you're going to test. Then, the test cases. These are the specific step-by-step instructions detailing how you'll test it. The defect report, that's your evidence, proving what you found. And finally, the summary report. That's your big conclusion, giving the final verdict on the software's quality. This is how testers communicate with real impact.
And so, here it is, your assignment. You get to choose your battleground, either a full-on student management system or a feature-packed e-commerce website. You're going to take everything we've talked about and apply it to one of these projects, from the very beginning to the very end.
You know, finishing a project like this, it does so much more than just fill up a spot in your portfolio. It fundamentally changes your confidence. You're no longer just someone who has read about testing. Now, you're someone who has actually done it.
And really, that brings us right back to the most important point of all. Everything we've covered today, from spotting tiny flaws in a user flow all the way to writing a professional bug report, it's all been about this one single transformation, turning what you know into what you can do.
By tackling these real-world scenarios, by producing professional-level work, you've done more than just learn. You've prepared yourself. The question is no longer, do I know enough? The question is, am I ready? And after going through all this, the answer is you absolutely are. Now go step into that QA world with confidence.